Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, hello. How are you doing tonight?
Good, good. This is
What you
very.
sipping on?
There we go. Okay. I have
I was waiting to see if you were going to say it to me first.
I have an Arizona iced tea with lemon, flavored with lemon.
I have an A&W root beer. It's a work night, so I gotta be
plus
responsible. Friday's my drinking night.
It's a nice, easy drink. It goes down easy.
It absolutely is.
Say hi to the chat, Big Al.
Yep.
Auditor Dread, welcome. Horizon Talker.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have time to watch tonight, but I'll catch the replay. Hope you have a great stream.
Yep. Hope you enjoy it when you get back.
Okay. I wanted to do this, but I didn't want to scare him. Like, you never have time!
Right?
No,
I do that to Daniel Heron all the time.
I have to get up in the morning for work. What's more important, your work or us, okay? And Stephanie Janicek's Smuggler's Cantina, welcome.
Stephanie Janicek, he's looking at these comments before we go live. He's like, oh my gosh, Stephanie Janicek's in the chat. I got to go live quick.
Well,
we got a celebrity in the chat,
much,
right?
Yeah. We love all of our viewers, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's really cool you're in the chat. I don't know how long you can stay, but cool. Welcome to the chat.
Yep.
And Zootopia, as always. At some point, I will have him on. We will talk about the last James Bond. Should there become a way for me to watch it that if I don't want to sail the high seas, then I can just watch it on a streaming service. I ain't paying money for this stuff. I ain't paying money for that movie. I am not happy. Okay, but anyway, let's move on. Netters Network, hello. I'm sure I got a hi, sweetie, in there. Thank you.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, you did. She's going through everybody to give him a hi, sweetie.
Okay.
She wants to make sure everybody feels special. That's why she's got
everybody feels special. And no one gets that excited for me. Al, I'm always excited for you. Tell you, Al, if you're bored on Halloween night, we are going to do a stream next week if you want to join us. Okay, we're going to be doing The Evil, and it's on free on Shout Factory TV. I figure next week, Halloween, not technically like a holiday, but still a holiday, and I don't want to be reading awful geek news that week. I want to have some fun, so we're going to watch The Evil.
Right.
Richard Crenna, and it's a haunted house movie. It's to go along with the haunted house movie. I guess in the case of Poltergeist 3, it's a haunted skyscraper, high-rise.
Yeah.
Building. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing.
It's
okay.
It's a fictional skyscraper, but the exterior is John Hancock building. The interior is Water Tower Place. So
The Evil, Al, you've never heard of it? It's on Shout Factory TV. I should find I should link the page.
You notice he says The Evil. He's making the distinction from Evil, which is a show that he watches.
Yes, no, not Evil, the show. The Evil, yes.
Yeah.
But I forgot the act. I think I was mentioning last night the actor from one of the actors on the show Evil died recently. What's his name? I should find out. Hold on. Al could probably tell us in the chat.
Maybe Al could just remind us. He knows.
But they always come in threes, right? And we have another one to talk about later in the evening too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Give me one sec, guys. Okay. But how's your week going? Well, I guess we knew how it went last night, but we don't have to talk.
I wasn't feeling too well last night. You and I already told you and Al I wasn't feeling well. You got way more details than you probably need.
But you're feeling better today. That's
I am feeling better now, and what I'm really feeling good about is all that work on my house is mostly done. So now we can start moving back into the rooms that we had to clear out. So I'm starting to feel a little bit more at ease in my house. That's a good thing too.
Cool.
Peter Scolari.
Okay, yeah. I have seen him on the show Evil. He plays, I think, one of the priests on there that's training the guy who's doing the exorcisms. But I was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Hold on. There we are. There it is. There's the link. Okay. I'll post the link in the chat. Next week we are watching The Evil.
Yep. So
there we go. Okay. So some news this week, but usually around this time,
I would say
talk about.
say that Grim News brings causes one to think back on better times.
Yes.
Which is, I think, how we started the whole concept of the good old days.
Yes.
And this week's news definitely made me think of something that I remember very, very fondly.
I want to do a share screen. Okay, give me 1 sec, because we're going to talk about a memory you have. Now, I'm not too familiar with this television show.
Yeah, I'll help you out with this.
All right. Go ahead and share my screen. Hold on. I'm getting better at this. Okay. All right. And this was a show called... Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
That's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was a show called Voyagers. Okay.
And actually, it should... Yeah, you got to have that exclamation point at the end. Voyagers. Okay. You know. And
I put a couple other pictures in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. So the basic premise was, you think of it as kind of like a Doctor Who type of thing. It's about a guy by the name of Phineas Bogg who's got this little pocket watch type thing called an Omni. And he travels back and forth through time, correcting things. He's part of a group called the Voyagers. And he'll land somewhere in a certain time, and the Omni has a way to dial in a date and a location on a globe map, and it's got 2 lights, one red and one green. And if it's blinking red, you know there's something wrong that needs to be corrected. And if it's green, everything's fine. You can just go on to the next place. And his Omni is set to only travel back to a certain point and forward to a certain point. But it's very glitchy, and in the pilot episode, he travels into the present day, which is like 1984 or something like that. And he's not supposed to be able to go that far forward in time. So he at first doesn't believe where he is. And he encounters this kid, Jeffrey. He's an orphan living with his uncle and aunt who just don't have time for him, but they inherited him because his parents died. And everything's pretty miserable. And he looks and he says, okay, well, it's green. I'm not needed here. I'm out of here. And he's got a book in his hand, and the book is his guidebook that tells him what's wrong in different eras. And Jeffrey's dog grabs the book and tries to take it from him, and they get into a struggle, and he and Bogg go off of a ledge, and as they're falling, in order to save them both, he hits his Omni. They travel back in time. Well, because it had glitched, and he can't get him back home, you know, and then it becomes like a Doctor Who thing where they just kind of go around randomly. He's lost his guidebook, so he doesn't know what's wrong in each time period. But Jeffrey's dad had been a history professor, and he really knows history. So whenever he gets someplace, he's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And he's like, Bogg, do you know who that is? That's Thomas Edison, you know? And oh my gosh, if he doesn't invent, you know, and he's the one who always figures out what's going on. Sometimes they're just showing up, causes things to go wrong, you know? It was
like Sir Isaac Newton sitting under the tree and the apple doesn't fall on his head, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So they'd have to get him back under that tree and get that apple to fall on his head or something.
Yeah.
And they really made use of a lot of different sets. They did the Winds of War, so they had all the Civil War, outfits and stuff, so they could do
I see that in the background there.
Yeah. They had, and what was kind of like Doctor Who. I wish they'd have given an explanation like in Doctor Who. They travel back in time to like biblical era. And so they're in Rome, right? And everyone speaks English, And there should have been, it would have been good if there had been just this little explanation. The Omni, translates it for you or whatever, something like that, right? But in the first episode, one of the places they end up in is in Egypt. At the, they just land in a marsh, and he's like, well, it says here something's wrong. I don't know what it is. And he looks down in the water, and there's a bassinet with a baby in it. He's like, oh, there's a baby. Well, that's not good. There shouldn't be a baby floating down the river. And Jeffrey goes, no, he should be going down the river. And he pushes the bassinet back into the river so that it'll go down and be found by the Pharaoh's daughter. And he goes, what are you doing? The kid could drown. It's like, no, trust me. And the baby goes down river. Pharaoh's daughter finds him, takes him out. He's like, well, that's lucky. He goes, no, it's not lucky. He says he wasn't supposed to be here. That's Moses. Who's Moses? Don't you know anything? Well, I wasn't really listening in history class. You're a Voyager traveling through time. You didn't pay attention in history? No, there was this girl, this other Voyager girl that I was making eyes at. You know, it's a running joke through the whole thing, and that's kind of the setup. But the show lasted, I don't remember if it made it for 2 seasons. It certainly got 1 full season. Really, really enjoyed it. I learned this is really, you know, I talk on a lot of the streams about why I'm such a big history buff. Yes, that was a great one. They meet Cleopatra, and when they go to leave, she grabs hold of them. So she travels into the 1920s with them.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes. And so now it's just a matter of getting her back. That's the biggest thing that's wrong.
Tell me he doesn't hit on Cleopatra.
Oh, he totally does. Well, she hits on him too.
Okay.
Yeah. There's Amelia Earhart. There's just
Abraham Lincoln I saw in a picture, right?
Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. I mentioned Thomas Edison. He takes the Omni apart, so Jeffrey can't travel. He gets separated from Bog, and he's got to go back to a certain point to get him. But when Thomas Edison takes it apart, he's like, I'll never get back. And he's like, nah, don't touch anything. I could put it back together again. Yeah. It's
Thomas Edison, right?
It was really, really a good show. I was so disappointed when that show got canceled. But
they made a point about they said this show got canceled because it was actually doing okay ratings, and it probably would have got a second season, except that it was on opposite of another show called 60 Minutes, and the network decided we need our own news show to put up against 60 Minutes. Some news show I've never heard of, probably because it got yanked. Okay, so
isn't that annoying?
So stupid.
They gambled and lost because this was such a better show. You know?
Yeah, apparently it had an audience, so I don't know why they. Sometimes that happens.
Well, I mean, look that's a good-looking guy, that John Eric Hexum, those blue eyes. Mm-hmm. I idolized that guy. I really did. I wanted to be him when I grew up. You know?
Yeah.
But and he was really an up-and-coming star. After this show, what's the kid's name? Milo something or other?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Milo. Palucci, I believe it was.
Yeah.
He didn't continue in acting. He actually became a teacher.
A history teacher. That's what I heard.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't use episodes of Voyager in his classes. They weren't perfectly historically accurate, but it was one of those deals where at the end of it, you know, they'd hit like 2 or 3 different eras. Usually one was they had a very brief encounter with something that wasn't real big, one that was a minor fix, and another that was the major A story. And at the end of it, over the closing credits, you'd always have Jeffrey the kid say, if you want to learn more about Thomas Edison or the Wright brothers or, you know, ancient Rome, head on down to your local library. It's all in books.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then John Eric Hexum, like I said, he was really an up-and-coming star. He went on to a show called Cover Up, which was like a later, you know, it was more of an adult type of show. It was one of those action soap opera-ish type of things. He played an I think Green Beret or something like that, working. I don't know. It didn't last long.
Sounded almost like okay. Oh, I'm thinking of something else. Go ahead.
Yeah. It was kind of like you know, a little bit glamour, a little bit. I mean, it was really playing to his strengths. Good-looking guy, you know.
Right.
Reasons to put him in nice suits and stuff like that with the pretty girls and whatnot. But again, the show didn't last long because there was an accident on the set. Well, I don't know It depends on how you define accident, but he was fatally wounded by a gun that fired blanks. He was messing around on the set, put the gun to his head and fired, and a piece of wadding lodged in his head. He died hours later in the hospital.
That's awful.
Was devastated.
Yeah.
I heard this in the news, and literally, I mean, I was what, like 14 years old at the time? 12 years old at the time. And I never paid attention to the news. I literally watched the news every time it came on, watching to see if there was any update. And then when he died, I was just crushed.
It's awful when an actor you like dies in a horrible way. I remember I was very upset about Phil Hartman when his awful end too. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and my understanding is that this changed the narrative about how guns are treated on sets. If you are going to be an actor, if you're going to be around the set when there's firearms of any kind, you need to be trained how to respect them and not goof around and do stuff like that. It was dumb what he did, but it's really sad. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Nanette and I are first-time gun owners last year. And this is posted at the range. These are the 4 cardinal rules for gun safety. Treat all firearms as if they are loaded. Never point a firearm at anyone or anything you are not willing to destroy. Let me pause there for a second. After this John Eric Hexum thing happened, my uncle sat me down and had a talk with me. My uncle owns a bunch of firearms. And he explained these basic principles to me. He has a lot of land out in Ohio. He took me out there. He says, I want to show you something. Takes a watermelon, puts it on his on a stump out on his woods line, and took a firearm, and he says, this is a gun. That out there is me or your mom or your brother. And he fires it. Boosh! It explodes. He said, this is why you always respect firearms. You assume they are loaded, whether they are or not. Even if it's a toy, you never point it at anything you aren't willing to destroy. I mean, that was heavy for a 12-year-old, but let me tell you something. I learned that lesson. Keep your finger off the trigger and out of the trigger guard until you are ready to fire. And number 4, know your target and what is behind it. Remember, just because you hit something doesn't mean the bullet is going to stop.
Like you go through a wall sometimes, right? I mean, yeah.
There's a line in the movie Johnny Dangerously where he pulls out this really big gun. He says, my mom gave it to me. It shoots through schools, which is funny. But the fact is, there are calibers of guns that can go through walls. Absolutely. Especially, I even pointed out to Nanette, I'm like, we live in a house. It's a frame house. If we fire a gun in the house, it can go through a wall into our neighbor's house.
Yeah. That's why there's a lot of penalties for a gun going off, even if you're messing around, right? I mean, because it could.
Yeah, reckless discharge of a gun.
Yeah, reckless discharge. Yeah.
I mean, there's also. I mean, this is another thing we think about when we talk about what sort of ammunition do you keep for home safety. You want something that's going to stop when it hits something. So you want the hollow point. You want something that flattens out. Yes, it does more damage to your target, but when rule number 2, never point your firearm at anything you aren't prepared to destroy. If you are my target, I am prepared to destroy you. I don't want to just wound you. I am firing to kill. And I want to kill you and nothing else. I don't want it to go through you. And yet our legislature in their infinite wisdom wants to remove that safety, that limiting factor, because they don't want you to have hollow points.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it reminds me of
that was Daniel Heron brings up a great point. 12 gauge goes through sheetrock like paper. That was exactly why. It was like, well, can't we defend the house with a shotgun? Not here. Out in, rural areas we could, but not when you live 10 feet away from your neighbor. Anyway.
Yeah. And
there's I think everyone that's listening knows why we brought up this topic, though.
Yeah, we have some news, some horrible news actually from the set of a movie that Alec Baldwin was working on. It was a Western known as Rust, right?
Yep.
Which I hadn't heard of before. I guess it's a smaller production, independent production. Is that the impression I got? I can read there's all sorts of articles on this tonight, but
oh yeah, there's a lot of articles. There's just new news every couple hours, it seems.
Yeah. Okay. So this isn't updated. This first paragraph, but Santa Fe. This is from Fatality on set of Alec Baldwin's Rust. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very careful how I write about this in the YouTube description.
Yeah, what I've been using a lot of terminology I probably shouldn't, but you know what? We're not monetized anyway here.
Yeah, that's true.
So don't worry about that. I think we're doing more good than harm by talking about safety.
Yeah. So here we go. Rust, director of photography, Helena Hutchins dies after a prop gun. I know you have a problem with that term. Misfires on New Mexico set of Alec Baldwin. Okay, so Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that director of photography Helena Hutchins was the crew member killed on the New Mexico set of Rust, where star Alec Baldwin was holding a prop gun that misfired, striking Hutchins and director Joel Souza. Production has been halted for an undetermined period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Another male crew member, 48, remains in emergency care after being transported by ambulance to Christus St. Vincent's Hospital. Detectives are investigating how the prop firearm was used and what type of projectile was discharged. The sheriff's office said in a statement Thursday, this incident remains an active investigation. As more information becomes available, updates will be provided. Officials said sheriff's deputies were dispatched to the Rust set around 1:50 p.m. Following a 911 call that indicated an individual had been shot. Deadline previously heard from sources that a principal cast member cocked the gun during a rehearsal, unaware that there were live rounds in it, hitting two people, a man and a woman. The man was hit in the shoulder, while the woman was airlifted to the hospital for stomach surgery. Santa Fe County's Sheriff's Office has confirmed that the director of photography was the crew member. Okay, yeah. And I already mentioned that. So I feel terrible for her,
Mm-hmm.
family and friends. And, we are sorry this happened. And I do find this interesting that this happens around the same time that there's big talks of safety concerns on Hollywood sets. I did find that interesting.
Right.
That this is happening right on the cusp of that. Do you want to go ahead and add something to the stream? Hold on.
No. Hold off.
Okay.
Hold off. I'm just putting it there when we get to an appropriate point for it.
Sure thing. Okay, this is the next article. Film crew voice complaints before failed on-set shooting. Now, this is what makes me raise an eyebrow, even more so than I would have before. Okay. And hold on. Let me just put the link in here as well. Hold on. Okay. And hours before actor Alec Baldwin fired a fatal gunshot from a prop gun that he had told was safe, a camera crew for the movie he was filming walked off the job to protest conditions and production issues that included safety concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Disputes in the production of the Western film Rust began almost from the start in early October and culminated with 7 crew members walking off several hours before the 42 cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed. The crew members had expressed their discontent with matters that range from safety procedures to their housing accommodations, according to one of those that left. He requested anonymity for fear that speaking up would hurt his prospect for future jobs. Rust Movie Productions did not answer emails Friday and Saturday seeking comment. Court records indicate that an assistant director, Dale Howes, grabbed a prop gun off a cart and handed it to Baldwin, indicating incorrectly that the weapon didn't carry live rounds before yelling cold gun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When Baldwin pulled the trigger, he unwittingly killed Hutchins and wounded director Joel Souza, who was standing behind her inside a wooden chapel-like building. So, what were you saying just now about?
Well, what I was going to say is, again, I always try to interject something that's different than what the other channels are saying.
Yeah.
And I've been following a lot of other YouTubers that have been talking about this. And I think the best coverage that I saw was Midnight's Edge coverage about it. They were very reserved, even-handed, and so forth. The one thing that Tom Connors expressed concern about is, well, now everyone's going to come out with their political commentaries about this, and this is going to play right into the IATSE thing. Unfortunately, I think they should. Just because these people had some gripes doesn't mean these aren't good gripes to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if some people walked off because of safety concerns, maybe there's something in that.
Yeah.
Obviously, something happened, so,
Yeah.
And like we talked about, John Eric Hexum, what we didn't talk too much about, and we probably don't need to, is the Brandon Lee thing. There have been very, very strict rules put on the use of firearms on sets because of those kinds of tragedies. If you follow the rules, this will not happen. Only way this can happen is if you fail to follow the rules. Someone was negligent. In fact, multiple people have to be negligent.
Yeah. Now, I have a question. Was this a unionized crew? I thought I read somewhere. Okay.
Well, we don't know if there were none on the set, but IATSE has already come out and said we weren't being represented there, and that's part of the problem. And this is part of what I was saying. I am not a labor guy. I'm not real big on, institutionalized labor unions.
Right.
But these are skilled workers. Again, you can't just bring people in off the street. You bring in people off the... And didn't I say, even before this happened, I said you don't want to be standing under a scaffolding that's being held up by somebody, or, being suspended in the air on ropes by somebody who isn't trained and, knows the safety procedures. Otherwise, someone could get killed. And then this happens the following week.
Yeah. And it's... I can read a little bit from this article. Just listen to this. It's terrible. The last quote is, I ran out and called 911 and said, bring everybody, send everybody. Mitchell told the Associated Press, the woman is gone. At the beginning of her career, she was an extraordinary, rare, very rare woman. This is horrible.
I don't know anything about her, but I did see what the girl looked like. She's beautiful. She was so young.
Yeah.
That's tragedy, Yeah. Not because she was beautiful, but because she was young.
Well, yeah, just it's terrible. And I was mentioning to you before the stream, like, one of my favorite horror movies about the actor that the director kept telling him to shoot the zombie in the head with the gun with the blanks in it. The actor kept saying no, so they compromised, and he just so he would shoot the actor in the shoulder. As soon as he does, blood spurts out of the guy's shoulder. They're rushing him to the hospital.
Yep.
And, if he hadn't argued,
I said this before. There's a lot of YouTube videos on that show what happens when you put a gun with blanks in it up to a mannequin head. That discharge of gas. Remember, that's the same discharge of gas that's behind a bullet that propels it at the speed of a bullet. Okay. Just because it doesn't have a piece of lead coming out of it doesn't mean that expanding gas doesn't have pressure. It will kill you. That's what happened to John Eric Hexum,
Yep. You sent me a recent story about this as well, right?
Yes, I did.
It's from TMZ.
Yep.
But
This is the most recent that I saw.
okay, so I will go ahead and hold on.
I mean, literally hours ago.
Yeah, I'll read a little bit from this, even though it's kind of hot off the press. Give me a minute. Sorry about that. All right.
And guys, you can moan and complain about TMZ, but at least they're actually doing investigation, which is more than most of the legacy media is doing these days.
Yeah. Okay. The gun that killed DP allegedly used for offset target practice. Okay.
Yep.
Links in the chat. The smoking gun that claimed the life of Helena Hutchins might have been more than just an on-set prop. It was also being fired recreationally, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Multiple sources directly connected to the Rust production tell TMZ the same gun Alec Baldwin accidentally fired, hitting the director of photography and director, was being used by crew members offset as well for what were amounted to target practice. So I guess they were playing around with it like a real gun, like shooting cans. I don't know. We're told that this off-the-clock shooting, which was allegedly happening away from the movie lot, was being done with real bullets, which, okay, all right, which is how some who worked on the film believed a live round found its way into one of the chambers that day. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is where, you noted very succinctly that I do not approve of the use of the term prop gun. They keep calling it a prop gun in the media, and that's not an accurate description. But what does the legacy media know about being accurate? I'm going to drop another video. If you guys check out nothing else from the links that we share, I would encourage you to click on that, open it in another tab and look at it later. That's Valiant Renegade's video about stop calling it a prop gun. And he explains the difference between a true prop and an actual gun. Now, I believe that what most people mean when they say prop gun, they mean a gun used as a prop. Because technically anything that is used in a movie is a prop. The shoes you're wearing are prop shoes, but, well, at least if you're not wearing them, they're wardrobe if you're wearing them. But if you take those shoes off, those are now props, right? But
well, I have a
obviously
question.
they're real shoes.
Where did this so-called prop gun come from? Did someone construct it in unlike the set set department?
Yeah, there's
or was
some
this an
details,
actual?
Yeah, there's some details we don't know, but what we know is that this movie is a period piece set in the Old West. This is a Colt long barrel, okay, and I think it's an antique.
If it's an antique, it's not a prop.
Just saying.
Okay.
Just saying. Okay.
If it was like a model kit, someone that looks like the real thing, that'd be one thing. But this is that can't fire. Like, I know it's funny in Japan, it's very hard to actually have a legal fire over there. But a lot of people will collect like model guns that look like the real thing over there. I've heard that's a thing over there, and it's obviously they weren't using something like that. This was an actual piece that could actually be fired. Okay, so.
Oh.
What's up?
Nanette just sent me a link that I'll share with you guys.
Sure.
This is. You want to explain what it is?
Yeah, it's like Will Smith.
It's that one. Yeah.
Yeah, on the set of some movie he was doing, they were picking up the guns that they're going to be using to do the shots, and some idiot picks up a gun and starts moving it towards Will Smith's face. Will Smith smacks the guy, grabs the gun in his hand, pulls the cartridge out, checks it, slams it back in, then gives it back to the guy, and the prop master's like, "Good job."
Yep. And this is the kind of thing that I was talking about. This is what you're supposed to do on a set. This is part of those safety regulations,
This is why you need someone with expertise, like the prop master that knows what's safe, what isn't. Correct? I mean, right. I don't know.
I've heard, and I don't know this myself, but I've heard that it's not legal to have live ammunition on a movie set at a movie filming location. So there was there's no reason for there to be live ammunition anywhere near that gun, and yet this is the situation we have. There's going to be a lot that goes into this. Now, one of the articles that you were talking about, misfiring, that's another term. You got to understand what we're talking about when we talk about they're using that term incorrectly too, probably. Okay, a misfire is when you squeeze the trigger and nothing happens. Okay, the hammer strikes the round, but it doesn't go off. And one of two things could happen. Okay, it could be a hang fire, which means you wait 45 seconds. You keep the gun pointed down range in case it's defective, a slow burning primer, in other words. Okay, and if that's not the case, it's a dud. And then you can safely remove the dud round from, but you never ever point that bullet because it could still go off.
Right.
Okay. That's what a misfire is. Okay. What this probably was I mean, this was criminal negligence is what it was. That's the only way you can look at this.
Didn't anybody watch Looney Tunes cartoons growing up? Like, you'd have like the cannon being, like the fuse bead gets lit, or the shotgun, and like nothing comes out, and then the character, what's going on here? Looks down and it goes off in the person's face.
Yeah.
I mean, the cartoon. Obviously, it's a cartoon, but in a way that was a good lesson. Doesn't fire, don't go messing around looking down the barrel, right? I mean, it's.
Well, but then if you go by the cartoons, you know that it turns your face black and makes your hair point back, and everything's okay in the next shot.
Yes,
and that's not how it works in real life.
Even as a kid, I knew that's not what happened. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So literally, and you guys all know this. I watch the lawyers, Robert Barnes and David Freitag on Viva Barnes Law, or VivaFry.com, Viva Fry on YouTube. And they were talking about this case, and Barnes was saying, yeah, this is absolutely at least criminal negligence.
Who
Otherwise,
gets
blamed? It's more likely reckless negligence. It's a reckless discharge of a gun.
Who's going to get blamed for it, though? That's my question.
I think there's plenty of blame to go around. There's the prop master whose responsibility it was. There's the person that, and again, you saw in that video that Nanette shared, Will Smith did what he was supposed to do as an actor. He takes the gun and checks it himself. When someone hands you a gun and says this is a perfectly safe gun, you say, okay, let me verify that. When you're satisfied, then you can point. Personally, I would say, wait, you're going to point that at me? I want to check it too.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those people are responsible, but when it comes right down to it, who's the most responsible? Probably the producer. It's his production.
Right.
And guess what? The producer and the guy that pulled the trigger, same guy. Same guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and the woman who died, guess what her husband does for a living? He's a lawyer. And so there's a lot of people saying, no matter what you think about Alec Baldwin, you may not like him, but I feel sorry for him right now. This has got to really be, trying on his soul. I don't feel the least bit sorry for him. Share that link, or share that I posted for you. Share it with everybody.
Which one? Oh, Facebook?
In StreamYard.
Oh, in StreamYard. Hold on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Share that picture that I got up there.
All right. Good night, it's Stephanie. Good seeing you.
Oh, take care, Stephanie.
Hold on. Oh, why am I not seeing private? Hold on. Sorry.
No, you don't go private. Right next to like somebody else who just joined the stream. It's just the picture that I shared.
Oh. Okay. Hold on. Facebook picture. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I see. I got to click on the link.
Yep. Okay. No. You gotta just like
the picture.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry
That's
about
a tweet from Alec
Hold
Baldwin back in 2017. I don't know the exact details of the article It's behind a paywall, but it's a video showing a Hutchinson Beach officer who fatally shot a suspect outside a 7-Eleven. And I'm guessing that it was a situation where the guy was innocent and it was a bad shoot or something. I don't know the details of that case. But Alec Baldwin tweets out, "I wonder how it feels to wrongfully kill someone." That tweet's coming back to haunt him now. Because now he knows.
Yeah, I guess he does now.
And so I do not feel sorry for him. If you tweet something like that, you should be really thinking about that. And you should never be in that situation. You put yourself there. You arrogant son of a bitch.
I don't know. I'm wondering what this spells for his career in the future. I wonder if Hollywood is going to turn on him now. I don't know.
Probably not, because the rules don't apply to people like him like they do the rest of us.
I don't know about that, though.
He's not Mel Gibson. He's not Gina Carano. He's not, Woods. What's his name?
James Woods.
James Woods.
But no, they go after even their own, though. Dustin Hoffman. Have you heard his name lately? Because he made some innocuous comedy. He was on... Who's that British guy who was on HBO Max who used to be on Jon Stewart? I forget his name. He does last week's news tonight.
Yeah,
I'll find out. He was interviewing Oliver something. Jamie. Anyway, he was interviewing.
Jamie Oliver?
Yeah, I think so. And he was interviewing. He was interviewing Dustin Hoffman, and Dustin Hoffman was like,
"Oh, okay."
I think he's saying, well, the rules back then in the 70s of how you approach or did stuff with women were different. How were they different? And like he basically was trying to catch Dustin Hoffman saying he did best. I mean, I don't know if he did or not, but Hoffman was basically saying, he wasn't even necessarily even condoning past behavior, but like he was trying to get him and I got you. And then all of a sudden, Dustin Hoffman's persona non grata. So even if you're on the left, I don't know. I could see them throwing Baldwin under the bus over this.
I don't know all the details of
neither do I.
That one, but honestly, it's who knows? There's any number of things. There have been so many missteps by so many people in Hollywood, and what do? They go quiet for a little while, then they come back and they say sorry to all the right people, and everything's fine again.
I don't know.
I
we'll
don't
see.
either. We'll wait and see, but
we'll see.
I'm jaded
like
enough to think that I've seen this kind of thing happen, and he said all the right things for so long. And he'll come out and pretend to be the victim and feel so bad about it.
Hold on a second. But yeah, I used to think the same thing about Dustin Hoffman. And I don't know if it's just, old straight white guy, find a reason to get rid of him. I don't know. Hold on. Jamie Oliver. Hold on.
No, it couldn't be Jamie Oliver. Isn't he like a cook or something like that?
Never mind. I don't know.
Could be James Corden.
No, never mind. Okay, I'm talking out of my butt. Never mind.
Okay.
Anyway, but
it's not about him anyway. I get what you're saying though.
John Oliver. Okay,
but
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Alec Baldwin. Because remember, there are people that didn't like him over the whole. Everybody was yelling at his daughter, and they cut the phone call. Remember that? That was a big thing. They like him on the
people are bringing that up too now.
They like him on the political thing, but I don't know how much they actually like him, and it becomes a point where they might think it's better to cut him loose. I don't know. And to be fair, even I'll say this: there have been performances by Baldwin that I thought were brilliant. I mean, Glenn Ross, one of my favorite plays.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Converted to movies. I'm not knocking the guy, but again, that is coming back to bite him. His whole statement.
This is also. I would have to imagine that for all of his friends in the rules for me and not for thee group, the people that fire guns and own guns, but you shouldn't own them, you crazy supporters of the Second Amendment. They're out there going, oh, this really hurts our cause, dude. You said all the right things about anti-gun for so long, and then you do this. This makes us look bad. I can see them turning their backs on it.
I think that, and we'll see if that's what happens in the coming weeks. Maybe you're right, though. Maybe they'll just brush it under the rug. Things will go back to the way. It's going to go either way. We'll see. I know that these types of accidents on sets can really hurt careers. I was bringing up John Landis to you before the stream. Remember that?
Yeah.
With the whole Twilight Zone thing they have on the set of the Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
I don't think he ever recovered from that as a director when the lead actor in his Twilight Zone segment plus those 2 children died in that.
And remember,
that
this is the other thing that Viva Fry brought up. Even if they clear him of all negligence charges, criminal charges, he's still going to get hit with civil liability. He's going to get sued, and he's gonna lose. The best he could do is settle out of court, but it's going to cost him big.
Yeah, this whole thing leaves a bad taste in my mouth, obviously. But
I could almost guarantee you this movie's not coming out.
I don't think it'll get finished. It'll probably be one of these unfinished projects, but we'll see.
He's gonna fold it up, claim the insurance on it, pay out everybody who was involved, and then focus on covering his ass for this liability situation.
Yep. Oh, Zootopia. I think you were thinking of John Oliver. He's a real Okay, yes.
John Oliver.
John Oliver. Yes. Okay. Anyway.
Gotcha.
I would just remember that. It just seemed it was okay. I'm conflating something else. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time. But it did strike me that they will go after their own sometimes for kind of innocuous reasons.
Well, they kind of often do, but
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what comes of this, but
All right.
Anyway.
But yeah, moving on. I like your little highlighted thing. Can I read it? Ruby Rose
I
wants
saw
to
this
be
and I'm
relevant
like,
again.
Why is this news? The only reason it's news, Ruby Rose wants to be relevant again.
So you're what? Well, I have a question. Are you thinking this is you're conflating her with Ray Fisher now? When he was complaining about Whedon, I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, some of the stuff he probably was talking about. That was like a year ago, right? We were talking about the Ray Fisher stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I was a little more generous to him just because I was like, I could see how some of the stuff he was saying probably did happen. I know that Whedon, basically, another guy who was a darling of the left, got kind of brushed aside after a lot of this stuff came out. So I don't know. Anyway, Ruby Rose says they were fired from Batwoman.
And can I just interject this here? My biggest problem with this fucking article keeps referring to her as they because she uses the pronouns they, them. This is the fucking problem with this whole pronoun situation because she keeps saying the title of the article, Ruby Rose says they were fired from Batwoman. And I'm like, who's they? How many people were fired from Batwoman? I thought she was the only one. No, when she says they, she means her.
This is
guys, I'm sorry. I don't care what gender you think you are. You don't become plural.
Yeah, they appropriated a different. I don't know who makes these decisions on that side. What words get to mean different things, and then it gets confusing. But you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember the show Blackadder's Christmas Special?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the scene where Queen Victoria shows up with, I guess, Prince Albert and a couple of
I know where you're going with
this.
Yeah.
And she goes, "We are Queen Victoria," and then Baldrick says, "What? All three of you?"
Yes. I thought that too because it's the royal we. We understand. It's very interesting too because again, going back to the law talk, Viva Fry's from Canada and he was talking about the crown. And someone said, well, the crown, that's the queen. He goes, no. The crown is the government. And the queen represents the government. That's why when the queen says we, she's referring to the entire body politic.
Oh, hello, Catman, a.k.a. D.D. Myers. Welcome to the stream. Okay.
We just finished talking about all the pew-pews and the Baldwins. We're moving on to... Batwoman pluralizes herself.
Okay. Former Batwoman star Ruby Star has leveled a series of allegations about their time on the CW series, including that they were forced off the show. In an Instagram story Rose shared on Wednesday, they claimed that rather than leaving the show of their own volition at the end of the season 1, they were forced off. The actor has said they were forced back to work just 10 days after a serious surgery and that working conditions on set were unsafe, resulting in serious injuries to crew members. I will come for you so what happens to me never happens to another person again, Rose writes, addressing Batwoman showrunner Caroline Dries, executive producers Greg Berlanti and Sarah Schechter, and the CW. And so I can finally take back my life and the truth. Shame on you. Rose writes later in the Instagram story, to my dear fans still asking if I will return to that awful show, I wouldn't return for any amount of money, nor if a gun were to my head, nor did I quit. I did not quit. They ruined Kate Kane and they destroyed Batwoman, not me. I followed orders, and if I wanted to stay, I was going to have to sign my rights away. Any threats, any bullying tactics, or blackmail would not make me stand down. In a statement, Batwoman producer Warner Brothers TV essentially confirmed that Rose was let go, saying the studio opted not to pick up Rose's option for season 2 after quote-unquote complaints about workplace behavior. Rose was injured filming a stunt for the show early in the first season and underwent surgery for 2 herniated discs. Rose alleges that Warner Brothers TV pushed them to return to set just 10 days after surgery. I can see how that gets confusing. Or the whole crew and cast would be fired, and I'd let everyone down because then Warner Brothers group head Pete Roth said he wouldn't recast, and I just lost the studio millions by getting injured on his set.
Well, I can agree with her on one thing. She's right that the studio, the writers, the powers that be ruined Kate Kane and they ruined Batwoman. That's absolutely true. That's not something you can put on this dingbat. I mean, she's not the greatest actress, but she could have played the role if the role had been written well, the stories were good, the characterization was spot on. But it's CW, so forget that idea. But yeah, you see exactly what I'm talking about. She keeps saying they and we, and it's like, who the heck are you talking about?
Well, I thought it was
yourself?
like the rest of the crew when she said that first.
Yeah,
there.
and that's the implication. But that's not what she's saying.
Anyway, I want to read
her pronoun.
I'm going to read what this says. Warner Brothers TV issued its own fiery statement in response to the allegation. Well, this is another thing I don't understand, too. Warner Brothers TV, did someone at Warner Brothers, I guess, okay, the organization. Okay, a spokesperson,
sure some spokesperson for them. Sure.
Although it does not address the claims about working conditions on set or Rose being pushed to return to work following surgery. Despite the revisionist history that Ruby Rose is now sharing aligned and aimed at the producers, the cast and crew, the network, and the studio, the statement reads, the truth is that Warner Brothers Television has decided not to exercise the option to engage Ruby for season 2 of Batwoman based on multiple complaints about workplace behavior that were extensively reviewed and handled privately out of respect for all concerned. Okay, so they're shooting back.
So the other thing is, especially with this they, them, you're absolutely right. Where is the rest of the crew on this? And as far as I've heard, there hasn't been anybody else that's come out and verified what she said. You'd think if things were so bad, there'd be other crew members saying, yep, she's right. This was dangerous and that was bad and there was this kind of treatment. None of that has happened. In fact, some of her crewmates have come out and said, she's a liar. We don't know what she's talking about. So that's why I am left to conclude only that she's trying to remain relevant and she's trying to squeeze something out of Warner Brothers because she's not going to be getting any other jobs. I've even heard from some sources in the industry, I can't speak to exactly who, that they are under the impression, or this person is under the impression that she was actually injured on another set. But she said it was Batwoman because she didn't want to get the people that she had worked with that she liked in trouble. But she didn't like Warner Brothers, and she wanted them to take the hit for it.
Yeah.
So there may be some fraud going on here, too. Maybe, allegedly, I've heard.
So this could be, and I noticed that this is right on the heels of Yahtzee talking about workplace concerns and stuff, right?
That is the other side of this, right?
Yeah.
Because, they're in general, Yahtzee is talking about unsafe work conditions, and this is why they're striking. But it's very important to understand that a generality may or may not apply to a specific circumstance. So if you are making specific claims about a specific production company on a specific project, you got to bring the receipts. If you don't have them, they don't exist.
So she's either going to have like more evidence or at least other witnesses backing up her claims.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Well, I mean, and that's just the law, right?
Yeah.
Innocent until proven guilty. And if you make an allegation, you have to bring the proof.
In fact, even with Joss Whedon, I don't know if we ever got anything concrete. There was a quote-unquote internal investigation that we didn't hear anything of, and then they, I guess, brushed him aside, and then Ray Fisher was still angry and saying, you didn't do enough, or you're...
And that is the problem all across the board when we talk about this cancel culture. People losing their jobs and their livelihoods because of allegations that may or may not have any basis in reality. We cannot have that in our society. This is why we have slander and libel laws. You know, this is why we have due process. This whole idea, believe women just because they're women, apparently. No, because everybody lies, regardless of their gender, perceived or otherwise.
Okay. So on to the next article, I think.
Before we do, I just want to, we don't have it in our thing, but I did want to address something that Joshua V brought up.
What's up?
We weren't really planning to go into it tonight, but yes, the whole thing about Superman changing the catchphrase, truth, justice, and the American way. I'll sum that up very quickly. The real reason behind it is because they have lost the rights to the phrase truth, justice, and the American way. It is a legal rights issue.
Siegel
and because they don't have exclusive rights to it anymore, they want to change it. Now, they are using it for virtue signaling. They imply that their reason for doing it is because they don't want to be associated with the American way, or they want to be more international,
America's
or whatever
bad.
the case is. But the real reason is they've lost exclusive rights to it, and they can no longer market it. All of the changes that we hate so much, that we are blaming on social justice is the secondary factor. The primary factor almost invariably is legal. And it comes down to rights and lawsuits behind the scenes. Okay, all the change, the red tights, the red briefs on Superman, that was part of the fact that there was a lawsuit going on with the Siegel and Schuster estate. Superboy, Superman, what part of that origin, all of that stuff is involved in rights. The costume, every time they change a costume, they're doing it because they've lost the rights to an older costume. Now they need to update it so that they can say this is now the distinct likeness of the character. And it's the same thing with this Truth, Justice, the American Way. Don't make too big a thing out of it. DC Comics has far bigger problems than this.
Can I say where they came up with it's now Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow, correct? Isn't that what they're saying?
I think so.
I seem to recall myself being on another stream talking about Superman and saying that Superman to me represented the better tomorrow. I wonder if somebody ripped me off, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. And you can bring the receipt.
To be fair, that's
you just got to find the stream.
Yeah, I know.
I had said if you're going to change it, although there's probably a rights issue with this one too, the phrase truth, justice, and peace for all mankind was used in the Super Friends cartoon series.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if they don't want to use the phrase too, but don't then say, "Oh, we're doing it because it's not just about America anymore." Obviously, not in our current landscape. But what did I want to make a point about though? You brought up sometimes that was for reasons. The whole Splash Mountain at Disney at Magic Kingdom being, we're changing it from Song of the South to Princess and the Frog. You were already planning to do that. Yeah. And I don't even think it was political reasons. I think it was because No one's heard of Song of the South because you
That's
haven't released it.
exactly
and
my
Princess and the
point.
Frog is more recent. I have nothing against Princess and the Frog. Frankly, I'm surprised that Disney is showing so much affection for it now. It might have been nice if they had done that before it was released, because it was the last of their traditionally animated
True.
movies. They were going to try it another go, and it lost the chipmunk squeak.
Well, just keep in mind what Kamran Pasha says about, you know, the whole representation thing. They talk a good game, but when it comes right down to doing it, these social justice warriors are the biggest racists there are.
Oh, sure they are. They're projecting. It's, what is it? That's what you say, confession by projection.
Confession by projection. That's another Viva Barnes thing, yeah.
All right. But Dune, not doing too bad, I think. Let me read this article. You've seen Dune, by the way, haven't you?
I have. I've got my whole Friday night drunk stream was a review, analysis, spoiler, talk, whatever you want to call it.
You can hear him talk more about it there. I just have one quick question for us, though, who may not have caught it. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
For me, thumbs up. It wasn't perfect. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think... I don't agree 100% with Al about the pacing,
right?
But I don't think his 3.5 stars out of 5 is bad. I might have given it 4 stars, but no, I would not have given it 5 stars.
You're not that far off. You're both still saying worth seeing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, Dune, Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi film of epic proportions, opened solidly in China on Friday, and is forecast to attain a gross box office of $35 million in that country.
Keep in mind that's $35 million in China. That's now become a market that isn't necessarily guaranteed a single red cent.
Yeah.
Now, also keep in mind that they probably will only see about half of that, because the rest of it goes, actually anywhere from a quarter to a half of that, because the rest goes to China. But nonetheless, that's still millions of dollars that they otherwise wouldn't have had.
I have to say, it seems odd that there are all these stipulations, yet they still want to cater to that market. Or maybe they're not. Maybe that was mainly Disney that did the headway. Though I would argue.
Well, in this particular case, I think they were going about, we're making this movie the way we're making it. If China wants it, they can have it. And China looked at it and said, "Yeah, we don't see anything wrong with it. We'll take it."
Yeah.
And it's doing really well. Now, there's more political stuff going on behind the scenes here. It's not a big deal, but they've got another coup going on out there.
Oh, no.
And so a lot of things have gotten shut down in China, so they're open to importing some entertainment again.
What do you mean another? Is it the same one we've been dealing with, or is this a brand new thing?
Don't know.
Oh,
Details
no. Okay. Let's move on. Entertainment news here. Good night, folks. Okay, forecast was made by my own, one of China's leading online ticketing agencies, which also reported that the film had grossed $23.8 million by 2 p.m. Friday local time. Okay, 3.7 million haul was only good enough for second place behind the Battle of Lake Changjin, a war film that is poised to become one of the highest grossing films of all time in China. In 23 days of release, Changjin had earned $798 million. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The early scores, however, are closely matched. At 2 p.m., Dune had achieved 40% share of Friday's nationwide box office, trailing the 45% for Changjin. Okay. Forecasts are based on a combination of ticket sales for current screening sessions, ticket pre-sales, and perceived public interest based on social media activity. Such early forecasts are subject to significant revision, either up or down, in subsequent days. And Dune also has the advantage of being produced by Legendary Entertainment, which is owned by China's Wanda. That has given it access to the largest...
Yeah, that was another little behind-the-scenes political thing I forgot about. Yeah.
Yeah, that I didn't realize.
I'll tell you what, though. Legendary really got shafted on the day and date thing. So kind of yay that they're making something somewhere on this.
Okay.
You know,
but it's interesting. I didn't know that. So,
but again, this is just another point in favor of it, doing well and possibly getting a sequel. That brings us to the next one.
Yeah, Dune seeing 17.5 opening day. Best for Warner Brothers HBO Max day and date and Denis Villeneuve. So they're saying for a day and date for HBO Max and theaters, this is the best debut. So that's a good sign, right? Okay, I'll
Yep.
go on and read that. Hold on a little bit. Okay, Dune posted the best opening day for a Warner Brothers theatrical HBO Max day and date. Title was 17.5 million, while Warner Brothers is calling the weekend currently at 35 million. Rivals believe it's higher in the high 30 millions range, which could
Spoiler
also,
alert! They're actually saying now officially 40 million.
40 million.
Yep,
Now I have a question.
that's real numbers.
Is that just 40 million for the whole weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
As of about 11 hours ago.
Now, does the day and date with HBO Max, does that also help with the profits? That's not including HBO Max, correct? And how do you even track money made through HBO Max? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's
I think that's just box office. Yeah, they're not reporting on HBO stats.
Okay, so it's the best thing for something that you could have watched at home. Okay.
Yeah.
The industry estimates for Saturday's drop is around 30%. Hopefully, HBO Max, the HBO Max of it all doesn't drag the movie further down, as U.S. folks with HBO subscriptions discover they can watch Dune at home for free. Between Thursday and Friday, there was a significant amount of moviegoers who decided to see Dune at the last minute, with 67% of the crowd either buying their tickets the day of or the day before. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're treating this like a big deal. Okay.
Yep.
Dune's Friday is bigger than that of Villeneuve's previous sci-fi science fiction reboot. It's not a reboot; it was a sequel, Blade Runner 2049, which saw.
Well, now, technically, a sequel can be a reboot.
See,
and in this case, I would argue it is. When you go that long before doing a sequel, this upcoming Ghostbusters Afterlife, you can argue is a reboot.
All right, I guess. Anyway, okay, Blade Runner 2049, which saw Friday.
When a wheel stops rolling and you pick it up and start rolling it again, you've just rebooted it.
It's like Tron Legacy is also a reboot, right? Because it takes place on. Okay,
sure.
Right. Okay, Dune's Friday is bigger than that of Villeneuve's. Okay, they already read that. Okay, both Warner Brothers Legendary and Villeneuve ultimately decided to keep this film theatrical on HBO Max, despite the fact that the best destination for it is in cinema. Villeneuve told TIFF, "The enemy right now is the pandemic. It is very difficult for theater owners and is very difficult for everyone. And I did feel with Legendary that it was time to go out. We had postponed the movie for a year due to safety. It's time to hit the road." I think that's a very honest and responsible statement there. If people were not comfortable going out to a theater, depending on the area they live in, they can watch it on HBO Max. If not, go see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
See it instead of Halloween Kills. Do not see Halloween Kills. I may not want to even watch that for free on your Peacock section. But anyway, that was my movie this week. Okay. And Dune voyaging to a 33 million plus opening week, and you already gave me the spoiler. That's even higher than that. So.
Yep, it's actually 40 million opening week as of 11 hours ago. So it's going to be a decent and we were saying 130 million foreign as of last week. So let me hit Box Office Mojo and see what they're saying.
I have to say the press is more, I think, generous to this movie. They were going after Alita before it came out, and I think that really
here's what domestic 40.1 million, international as of today is 180 million, giving us a total worldwide of 220.7 million. That's not bad for an opening week.
Not bad at all.
And they've also been saying, and we have no way of knowing what the HBO numbers are. And they said they were going to be looking at how well it does on HBO as well. All of this to gauge whether or not they go for a sequel. I'm pretty sure we're going to get that sequel.
I think so. I think Warner Brothers understands. I mean, what were they expecting with a day and date release? I think it's still doing the best of all the day and date releases. Now, I think maybe Warner Brothers now thinks the day and date might have been a mistake, but they were also trying to drive up HBO Max subscriptions. I think one thing that'll be telling is that a lot of people subscribed to HBO Max this month just to watch Dune. Okay? Did they pick up a lot of new subscribers in the month of October? Okay?
And from what you've told me, you're a big proponent for HBO Max, so maybe they sign up for Dune and stay for whatever other crap you guys are watching.
Here's what I'm gonna say about HBO Max. What I've noticed, I haven't had time to really do some exploring of it, but it has a wonderful back catalog on there. I complained about Paramount Plus. By the way, I used to joke that the Harry Potter movies are now on HBO Max. I don't know if they're still on Peacock, because for a while the Harry Potter movies were on Peacock. But it looks like Warner Brothers is taking the back catalog seriously. There are a lot of classic Warner Brothers movies on there. I type in Enter the Dragon, and the dragon pops up. Type in any of the Dirty Harrys, they're on there. Okay, so there are a lot of classic movies. I mean, for like if I was like, if I was a young man and had no money to buy a nice DVD collection and want to just access all these movies, I think for $15 a month, just or even less, to have access to all the whole Warner Brothers back catalog, that'd be pretty tempting. If they were to put, some of them even have like minor special features, but if they were to put like all the legacy features, like the audio commentaries on with those, that would be. I mean, if you don't want to own, you should own the library.
I've been saying for the longest time, the one that puts, everything they got out there, and says, for subscription, you can get access to it, they would be dominating. And that's why they're still fucking around. And okay, fine. This is why you're struggling right now.
Like, they seem better with that. I mean, granted, their new stuff on there is mixed. Like, I know some people, I don't know, they put the Conjuring movie on there, though. Like, the Conjuring movie was a day and date release. It disappeared, and, it just popped on there this week because I guess the period's over. So
I do chuckle every time you mention something that I'd be interested in, and I go, "Yep, I got that on DVD. Yep, I got that on DVD."
Yeah, but I'm saying, I do recommend people buy physical media, but some people also lived in cramped apartments, and because everything's so and they just want to have a quick access to movies, or at least maybe they want to watch these movies for the first time too.
So invest in a really big hard drive, rip the disc to your hard drive, and watch it off your hard drive.
Anyway,
pack all your DVDs away in a temperature-controlled location, and they will keep forever.
Anyway, well, that's what I would do, but I'm just saying. I want to bring up another point, though. But let's say you haven't seen these movies. A lot of the movies we tend to buy, not always, but it's good if you were able to watch them first. When you do a subscription, you get to watch anything you want on here that's owned by Warner Brothers. And I'm
still a big believer. You go to the theater if you really want to see something. You go, you pay for it, you enjoy your time out for the night. And vote with your dollars. And then if you want to stream it, then if you want to buy the DVD, then you want to see it on commercial television. All of those are alternate revenue streams for these studios, and they're learning very slowly, because they are stupid, that they're leaving money on the table by day and date.
Yeah, but I am going to say this also, though, that Disney's day and date, where you're already subscribing to Disney Plus and you got to pay $30 extra just for Black Widow on that. It'd be one thing if they put it on generic platforms like Amazon or iTunes or something. Says, okay, if you want to pay $30 to watch Mulan at home, whichever.
You gotta remember, though, there's a difference between Dune and Mulan. No one wanted to fucking see Mulan. Nobody wanted to see Black Widow, the dead girl that they know what's happening to her. Okay, people wanted to see Dune, and there's some bean counter there going, well, okay, this is how much we made in the theaters. How many people? Show me the stats for who actually viewed it on the streaming service. Oh, okay. Now multiply that times what the ticket sales would be. Yeah, that's how much money we lost on this movie because you decided to go day and date.
Zootopia says, I went to Dune in IMAX on Friday and then watched on HBO Max on Saturday. The experience was so much better than IMAX. Yeah, IMAX is the top tier. There are movies I've seen just on the regular theater screen that later on I wish I had actually tried to find an IMAX screen to watch them on. Like Deepwater Horizon was one.
Well, I had heard enough people like Andre from Midnight's Edge saying, look, yeah, you're going to want to stream this, and yeah, you're going to want to own this, but at least once get out there and see it, on IMAX. Otherwise, you will regret not having had that opportunity.
I mean, I saw Halloween Kills this week, and trust me, I have a lot of problems with that movie. But there is even that. It's still better to see it on a big screen than a small screen. Okay, there's something about sitting in a
I'll
big
be honest,
theater.
there are some movies I can watch on a small screen and be perfectly happy. But I felt like Dune, I needed to see, and not only at the theater, I needed to see it on IMAX. Now, I'm not going to make it a habit of going to IMAX all the time, but for that one, I would.
Do you know what was interesting? Do you remember the movie Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson? Sofia Coppola directed
Sure.
it. And it's about Bill Murray. He's an aging comedic actor from the United States. He goes to Japan to film some commercials and do a conference. And he meets ScarJo, a young Scarlett Johansson in it, and they form a friendship. And it's people said that, and Ebert made a point about this on one of the things, that everyone he talked to that rented that movie didn't like it. But everybody he talked to saw it on the big screen, loved it, and he wondered if there was something about seeing it on the big screen that changed your view of the movie.
I would caution you about correlation. Yeah. I think that assuming that it has to do with whether or not people see it on the big screen is causality.
Well, there's no evidence.
It could also be correlation. It could just be the people that would be willing to go and spend the money to see it in the theater are more prone to enjoying a movie like that.
No, and to be fair, he didn't say that's what happened. He just wondered. It's like
it's a fair question.
That there
Absolutely.
was something about being drowned in Japan on the big screen that didn't translate to the small.
And let's face it, everybody that you ask is going to have a different reasoning on it. It could very well be they'll say, "Oh yeah, I love this kind of movie. I had to go see it in the theater." Someone else might say, "Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it way more on the big screen than the small screen," and I don't know.
Do you know what's weird? Yeah, I'm like, one causality thing I might do. I've never run into a woman that liked The Big Lebowski. Now, maybe that's just all the women I've spoken to. Maybe there are women out there that love The Big Lebowski, but I don't know what it is about that movie that, at least, that all the guys I talked to have loved it and all the women hated it. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. And again, I think that's the kind of thing where, I know. I've never seen the movie, so I can't really speak to it. You give me this grief every time I say that.
I wish I was
but
you.
If I saw it and really liked it, then I could have Nanette watch it. But how I presented it to her would have a big impact on whether she liked it or not. I know that because I told her about the movie Heartbreak Ridge, which I thought was a movie she wouldn't like. But the way I described it, she said, "You made it sound so good, I wanted to see it." And then when she sees it and sees all the lines I was referring to and all the scenes I said, she's like, "Yeah, this is a good movie." I think if she'd have just seen it on her own without any prompting, she might not have liked it as much.
Maybe so. I don't know. Heartbreak Ridge, I did finally watch that. That was a nice surprise. I wish I'd watched it years ago.
Right, it's a good one. That's one I definitely got to do.
It's actually a really cool patriotic movie. Like
it is.
Daniel Herron was doing his patriotic rewatches when he was going down.
Yeah, but it doesn't have much of a soundtrack to it. So
well, that's true. But it has that wonderful part at the end when they're playing, I believe, Stars and Stripes Forever.
Yes,
big band, and I'm like, that was really cool.
That one, I got to admit, I get a tear in my eye because they debark after. Where were they? Grenada?
Yeah, I think that was Grenada.
They had just had the conflict in Grenada. They come back. They land at the airstrip, and there's bleachers, and all of their family is there, and the marching band, and welcoming back the heroes. Exactly. And his platoon is all like, "Man, Gunny, this must be old hat for you." And he goes, "Nope, first time."
Because of course. Previous eras, not so
exactly,
not so nice
and everybody's running. There's wives and there's mothers and fathers and all this, and he's just walking and there's no one there for him. And then he looks up in the stand and he sees his ex-wife, all dressed to the nines with her little white gloves, waving a little flag.
Boom!
Oh man, that gets me every time, man.
It's a great movie. I love Clint Eastwood movies. You probably know this about me, but yeah, it's. Yeah, Last year I made a point, like when everything was locked down, I'm going to try to get through as many Clint Eastwood movies as I can. I still have a bunch more to watch, but
Yeah, he's got a whole library himself.
well, I've seen a lot over the years, but I'm like trying to go through them and then also rewatching ones I haven't seen, like Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah.
So, guys, if you want some good entertainment, get out there and see Dune. Support it. Support something that's not, in your face SJW bullshit, and let Hollywood know you want good entertainment. It doesn't need to be cookie cutter, pew pews and whatever formula.
Oh, don't even get. Whenever I hear pew pew, I think of Kerry Russell on the set of, oh, you were in for Rise of Skywalker, and I got to do the pew pew thing, and I'm like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, speak with your dollars, and I think a lot of Americans and people around the world, it seems, are doing exactly that. As long as this Rebecca Ferguson keeps her damn yap shut, we should be okay.
Everybody's made a point. Like I think on Friday, I think it was Wolf 10 was on there, right? And he was saying how he loved Rebecca Ferguson great in the Mission Impossible movies. I agree. I think she's stand out in those. She's been in the last couple. Rebecca Ferguson has.
Oh, can I just say, even Nanette said this too. Jason Momoa was awesome in this movie.
Yeah,
I'm not even a big Jason Momoa fan, but damn, he was spot on. I almost started liking him by the end of this movie. I certainly liked his character, no doubt about that.
Oh, I want to bring something that Zootopia is bringing up about Dune. I saw Dune with someone who was not familiar with the book or 84 movie, and she enjoyed it a lot and was able to follow the plot. This is very interesting to me because this was brought up, I believe, in a Midnight's Edge review, where people they've talked to, I think, who's the gentleman from Iceland? I think I'm trying to think.
On Midnight's Edge.
Yeah.
I think it's Norway, isn't it? It's
maybe it's
Andre.
Norway. I apologize. Andre.
Yeah,
Okay.
Andre.
Andre was talking about how people that have seen it that weren't familiar with the material had less gripes with it, and part of me wonders if Denis Villeneuve was kind of tailoring it to an audience that may not be familiar with the work. I don't know. Like maybe they'll have less things to say about how. It's like the whole Tom Bombadil thing you were bringing up with Lord of the Rings, right? How that
exactly,
and how maybe it flows. And of course, I often make a point that it's very rare that a movie is as good as the book, right? I mean, sometimes, but and sometimes a movie complements the book well too. That happens. It happens as well.
And this was my point on Friday. How do you work in in a book you read a person's inner monologue as part of what you're reading. How does that translate to film? Well, David Lynch did it by, these long, shots, silent shots on the character. You could see that they were thinking, and you'd hear them whispering what they were thinking over it. That's very literal, right? Vinny Villeneuve doesn't do that. He tries to get, and this is the way it should be done in a visual medium. You don't know exactly what they're thinking, but you get the idea. And you get that because they're a good actor, and you see it in their face, and you see the emotion, and you see, maybe the way they look at something or turn to catch something or whatever, and sometimes, especially given the nature of this story, someone who has visions of the future actually seeing that vision, okay, fine. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta live with the fact that some of the stuff from the book doesn't translate to movie. You can't get it in there. Find some way to imply it if it's relevant to the story, even if it's a single line of exposition that gets it out there. And again, yeah, I felt, I got kind of Tom Bombadil-ish about, things that were missing, but, Zootopia's friend and Melinda over at Retro Blasting said the same thing. She never read the books, but she was able to follow the story pretty well. She doesn't know all the details. She doesn't know what a mentat is and why they exist, but she didn't need to know. She understood what Thufir Howard's job was in the scene, and what he contributed to the narrative, and that's really all she needed to know.
Right.
And when she said that, I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. If you care about those extra details, you have
Then you go read the
online
book.
notes, you have Wikipedia, you have the book to read, right?
Read the book, yeah.
Just like all this stuff with Marvel movies, right? I haven't, you may not have read, 40 years worth of comic stories to know all the details of the whys and what fors and where that person came from. It's not necessary for this story. If you're interested, they'll be chatting about it on YouTube channels for weeks.
Might have been necessary for them to get Taskmaster right, but anyway, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
that's modern Marvel. That we're talking about the old Marvel.
That's
bad.
the excuse. When they do something stupid, you go, well, if you read the comics, it was actually really good, but this was stupid.
Yeah. That's how it used to be, and maybe we're heading back there. But anyway, let's move on. World's largest movie. Okay,
I just got a private message on MeWe from a buddy of mine who I didn't even know had been listening. I don't think he said anything in the chat. He came on and said, "Excellent job explaining misfire versus negligent discharge. 4 stars."
So here we go. This is the world's largest movie theater chain is adding open captions at 240 U.S. locations. This is an interesting article. The world's largest movie theater chain is adding on-screen captions at hundreds of U.S. locations in an effort to make moviegoing more accessible. AMC Theaters announced last Friday that 240 of its locations in more than 100 U.S. markets are adding open captioning to certain showings. The change took effect last week and is aimed at improving the viewing experience for people who have hearing loss and for whom English is not their first language. Inclusive programming is core to AMC's strategy, and we're proud to lead the theatrical exhibition industry by making some open caption showtimes available at hundreds of our locations nationwide. Elizabeth Frank, AMC's Chief Content Officer and Executive Vice President of Worldwide Programming, said in a statement. Open captions, similar to subtitles, appear on the screen and cannot be turned off, while closed captioning is displayed on electronic devices that customers must request. The company says the vast majority of showtimes will continue to be offered with closed captioning, meaning it will still make assisted listening devices for all of its locations. Every AMC market with at least 2 theaters will also make some open caption showtimes available weekly for all new releases. The company explained open captions will also be offered through AMC's private theater rentals programs at certain locations. Moviegoers at participating locations can search for open caption showtimes on AMC Theaters' website and mobile app. They are currently available for a mix of weekend, weekday, evening, and matinee showings, and the company expects them to evolve based on feedback and demand. This is an article I have mixed on, okay?
I got to admit, when you sent this one to me to include in the notes, I was like, why is this news? Why do you want to talk about this?
Well, it is news. Go ahead, though. Mm-hmm.
No. But I had an experience on Friday when I went to see Dune that I think applies to this directly. So I do definitely have something to share about this. But why do you feel mixed about this?
Okay. To be fair, okay. Chris Gore made a point. Chris Gore from
Sure.
Film Threat. He also shows up Midnight's Edge. He actually says he prefers watching movies with the captions on. Okay, which I thought was interesting.
So that was one of my points because I realized as I was reading the article, here at home, Nanette and I always put on the closed captions. If it's on a DVD, if we have it available on a TV show, or even on YouTube streams, we turn on the closed captions. Reason being, we're a little older, maybe not hearing as good, don't necessarily want to have to say, hey, what did they say? Or back up or whatever. And if you're at a movie theater, you don't get the option to stop, pause, and rewind.
True enough. Let me see here, though. What are the pros and cons? Okay, I think the pros is, well, I mean, I watch movies with captions all the time. Usually when I'm doing rewatches with Daniel, because I have a thing about I don't want the sound to pop on through the stream, so I will just put the captions on and mute it.
Right.
Which is kind of funny considering the rewatch is called Soundtracks with Birdman. Okay, but hopefully he can handle the music.
Which is why you got to get some earphones.
I know, but then I got to put the earphones under the headset. It's a listen to me. Anyway, what was I talking about?
You're such a
captions. Okay. Anyway, but captions are fine. Okay. Chris Score likes them, and subtitles I kind of get with dialogue. Okay. Some of these, all due respect to some of our friends from across the pond and in merry old England, there are several BBC shows which I will turn the captions on because
you
some
have
of
a hard
those
time with
English
the
accents. Oh boy, have you ever seen the movie Sexy Beast with Ben Kingsley? Oh
sure.
man,
Mm-hmm.
you need the subtitles for that. Okay,
Well, maybe you do.
Oh come on,
I am
please.
really, really good with British
Good
accents.
for you.
I have a
Okay.
harder time with deep Southern accents.
Yeah,
my-
those could be an issue too.
my-
Yes.
Father's stepdad, whose real name to this day I don't even know. They all called him Pood. I don't know what the hell that means. I didn't want to know. He used to talk like that guy on the King of the Hill.
Boomhauer.
And I'd be like, dude, I don't know what the hell you're saying.
Okay. Anyway,
I wanted subtitles or captions for life.
okay, I understand. My worry is that though, but I remember many years ago, there was a hotly anticipated Japanese animated movie release, which was Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence. And of course, with Japanese animated movies, I usually watch them with the subtitles anyway. But they released with captions only subtitles. And when I'm watching this, part of me is getting immersed in the movie, and I'm seeing, droplets in the alleyway, and every little sound was being broadcast on the screen, these subtitles, and I was like, I can't watch this, okay? And
Because it's for the hearing impaired, they're also describing sound effects and things like that.
And there was all sorts of crap. A bunch of us, we got online, we were writing to whoever released it. Well, this is for the hearing impaired. Well, they have captions on their televisions they can turn on. Well, this is for the people, the deaf that don't have the captions on they're going to have captions on their television thing. And you know what? You can always put a captions track on the DVD and a subtitle track. You could do both. Finally,
some
they
DVDs actually have that, yeah.
Yeah, finally they reissued it, which I have no problem with. They reissued it with the correct Japanese subtitle track on it.
And that was the other thing.
And there was no English dub on that release either, so I couldn't even just watch it in English, at least. And
yeah, I thought you were going to mention the thing about translations, too, with subtitles for a foreign language film. A lot of people are talking about that right now with whatever that Korean show is, Squidbillies or whatever it is.
Yeah.
How
Squid Game.
Squid Games. Whatever. I knew there was a squid in there. Okay.
Troy Pacelli's Squidbillies. Okay.
Right. And apparently, the translation isn't a very good translation. And
is it dub titles?
Is it what?
Is there like an English dub version on there, and they just translate?
There is a dub, and there is subtitles, and I guess one is better than the other. And I don't know. I guess they need to fix it. Going forward, and future versions of it is don't call me a doofus. I didn't watch the damn thing. I don't know what it is.
It's like the biggest show on.
You're lucky I even knew Squid, so that you knew what I was talking about.
By the way, welcome to the chat, Wolf 10. Okay, anyway,
now get the hell out.
Now here's the thing, though. One of the things about going into a theater, especially, I'm not just trying to get I'm trying to be immersed in the experience, and I'm worried if I see sound captions, not even so much subtitles, but this for sound effects and music, if that's going to mess with my immersion. Okay.
Yeah. On the other hand, just playing, I don't want to say devil's advocate because it's not that serious a thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've noticed is when we have those kinds of captions on, sometimes it's very interesting to see those because I don't know about you, but there's sometimes in a movie where you'll hear a sound effect and you'll go, what the heck was that supposed to be? But the description of it tells you what it is more clearly. You
I
know?
see. I see. Maybe it's the fact I want a little bit of wonder while I'm watching it. I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean, obviously, when I'm watching Luthor and Luthor's partner is speaking with his London accent, which, so, you
And
know
I
what I
and I
mean?
gotta say also that sometimes, even in a movie that's not meant to be funny, sometimes the description of the music I will find quite humorous. You know, a jaunty tune is playing, and it's
Yeah,
like,
jaunty tune.
this is a jaunty tune? Seriously, you consider this to be a jaunty tune?
Well, I'm watching Catfile, right? That's the old BBC show about the medieval monk that solves crimes in medieval
Right.
England. Okay, and every time the monks are chanting, it says chanting in foreign language. It's not chanting it's chanting in Latin. Even I know that. Okay, which I know is technically a foreign language, but it's a dead foreign language. It's a different
I was just
thing.
gonna say it's not a foreign language though, because it's not represented by any country.
That's true.
It's
Yeah,
gotta
so
be.
it's
It's got to be a language from another country to be foreign.
I mean, I don't know, but at the same time, I get.
Although I suppose if they were going to be accurate, they'd have had to have said non-English chanting.
I don't know.
Or better yet, chanting in Latin.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm pro English hard of hearing if it helps them enjoy the experience. And to be fair, it's not an all showing; it's in selected showings. Kind of like when you go to see, I guess, a 3D movie. I guess they'll see how it turns out. Okay, I'm not. And they even have assisted things for the blind too, where you can get like a headset and like you get like that audio description you can get on certain movies on Netflix or on certain Blu-rays and DVDs. The audio descriptive tracks. Have you ever heard those where they describe what's on screen?
Yeah,
they have these for movie theaters as well. For someone.
Yeah,
who's,
I've accidentally turned those
yeah.
on a couple times, and that's like, oh God, no, I can't.
No, I have a friend who's blind, and he that's how he enjoys movies now. But
Well, sure.
I'd rather what he said though to me. He said that it ruins horror movies. That's what he said because of course it's all about suspense building and when it's describing everything to you. So
Yeah, that's true.
so how are we on the captions? Do you think it's a good thing?
Yeah, I think
I'm
overall it's a good
mixed.
thing. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
So to add to all of this, you did mention the little boxes, right, that they had. Now, I went to see back when Alita was in the theaters. We took you've probably seen Evelyn Hampton in the stream from time to time.
Yes.
We took her with us to see Alita.
Mhm.
And she asked for one of those boxes. I'd never seen one before.
Right.
And she plugs it into the. I mean, it's kind of like a microphone. It's just instead of talking into it, it's a little box that you read the words inside of, and you plug it into. It's on one of those bendy arms. You plug it into the arm of your chair. There's
Cool.
a place to plug it in. And we went to one of those theaters that had the big wide chairs and, recliners and stuff. And it was really, really nice, and it was good for her. Didn't bother us any. Went to see Dune on Friday at the IMAX, and the chairs, I'm not a skinny guy, but I'm also not a really, really big guy. But my thighs were touching the arms on both sides of my chair.
Wow.
It was like being in an airplane chair. And this guy next to me was using this, and he plugs it in and is jamming me in the side, in the thigh. And every time I'd move, it would move his thing, and he'd go, and I'd be like, dude, what am I supposed to do?
Well, that strikes me as a problem with the seating arrangement. See, that strikes me as an accessibility issue as far as seating arrangements go, right? I mean, if I'm paying for a seat, it's not even like it sounds like an airline seat you're sitting in. You know?
Well, and that's the other thing too. I didn't really want to complain about it because the IMAX screen and sound was great, but I will not go back to a theater for that anymore. I'll go to the nicer theaters with the big seats and the recliners and the.
Wait a minute, was the gentleman next to you? He was hard of seeing, visually impaired.
I think he was hard of hearing because what happens is this little box that he's looking into.
Oh, I see.
The words come up.
Oh, I see.
Which would not be necessary if it was out there on the screen.
Okay.
And one other aspect that I'll compare this to, Boomer. Have you ever been to the opera? You go to the opera, if you don't speak Italian or French or whatever language it is they're singing in, they have, above or below the stage, a marquee that they put up the lyrics. When I went to see Klingon Christmas Carol, same thing.
All right.
As they were speaking in Klingon on stage, I would see, what they were saying, which is kind of funny for someone who actually speaks Klingon. Every now and again, what they say and what's up there on the screen aren't exactly the same, and you know why, and it's almost like an in-joke for somebody that knows the language.
Okay. Oh, Bolton says, be glad it's not a mandate, Boom. Yes, I know it's not mandated. You can pick your captioned or non-captioned showing.
Yeah, that's true, too. Yeah.
I guess as long as people are just made aware when they're buying the tickets that there will be captions on the screen, I guess it's not an issue. Okay. And many people might prefer the captions. Like I said, Chris Gore, real big film buff, he prefers captions. Okay. Okay, I don't know how much time it's getting late. But we'll talk about this a little bit. We have Disney delays Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, and everything else, including Indy 5. What do we think of this?
So, a lot of people have been talking about this, and here's what I'll say. As far as the Marvel things go, they're not big bumps. It's just a couple months.
Okay.
And I have, and keep in mind, timing's important on things like this. This came out literally the day after the IATSE thing hit the news. So I have to believe they put a little pause in because of IATSE or anticipated,
I was wondering if that was what this had to do with a worry about.
Because we're only looking at about a month here, but it's all of their movies. Why is it all of their movies, even ones that are farther out? Well, because of the nature of these Marvel films. You need to see this movie before you see this movie before you see this movie, so they all have to be moved out. The most interesting one, however, Indiana Jones 5, that's been moved out by a year.
June 20th, 2023 instead of July 29th, 2022.
You know what I'm going to say about this, right?
You think they're redoing it. They're redoing things.
Yeah. There's a couple things at play here. So it comes out at the same time as the Marvel ones, right? Okay. So the IATSE thing is used as the excuse for why they're pushing it out. But why a year as opposed to all the other ones, right? Well, there's some other things going on behind the scenes that may not be quite so evident. This month, Kathleen Kennedy's, who's the producer on this film, her contract with Disney is up this month. And we have not yet heard one way or the other. Are they extending it or is she going bye-bye? Not a word. But there's also been a lot of rumors about leaked scripts and what they're doing, and the fans are not happy. And they cannot afford another Last Jedi. So there's a lot of people that believe that the powers that be over at Disney are going, what the hell's going on with this? You're not doing this shit again. Your contract's up. Your contract's done. Goodbye. And they're going to fix it, and they're going to refilm large chunks of it, and it's going to be a different movie than what has been rumored.
Yeah, the we won't speak to those
That
rumors.
is if we ever see it. That's the other thing.
But they're not good from what we've heard. Okay, these rumors. That's like
go check out Doomcock if you want
scenario.
the details. We don't need to duplicate efforts over here.
Yeah, but it didn't sound good. Again, rumor. Who knows? Could have been an earlier draft of the script the person was coming on. People could also be making stuff up, or it could be something that was actually made.
Bottom line, the rumors are that it's all Last Jedi all over again, where they make the male hero to be an idiot, and in this case completely remove him from history and retcon to put a woman in his place. So yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not flying.
Okay.
But
We'll see
so
what
that's
happens.
what the Disney delays are all about. And yeah, you're gonna have to fill me in on this gaming news. I
Okay.
didn't know
Have
anything
you
about
heard
this.
of a company called Facebook?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
trying to get off of that platform, and I've told you what's keeping me there, but it's a temporary thing,
What people
and I will no longer have anything to do with Facebook.
called Boomer Book. Okay, well, they have this device called Oculus Rift. I believe it's some sort of a VR helmet. I do not have one myself. I'm kind of curious as to what they cost.
That's
because,
connected to Facebook somehow?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
yes, they own it. I believe
Okay.
so. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a Facebook. Anyway, Resident Evil 4 Remake is rumored to be in development. Okay, so this is from a few weeks ago, okay? Rumored to be in development, Resident Evil 4 Remake. And now there's a reason to believe that if Capcom does remake the 2005 survival horror classic, they'll remove and censor some content. Okay, Resident Evil 4 VR, a remaster of the game built from the ground up for VR, is releasing tomorrow. Ahead of this release, there have been reports that some of the content has been removed and censored. Today, Capcom confirmed these reports, revealing that certain dialogue has been removed from the game alongside certain animations. Why I bring this article up is that I've heard of like animations, character redesigns. This might be the first time I've heard of dialogue being removed from a game, from a classic game.
Yeah.
And this is full on SJW nonsense. Okay, more specifically, Resident Evil 4 VR has removed certain hits of suggestive dialogue between Ashley Graham, including lines about her body. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell the scene. Okay, there's a rather swarthy gentleman that your main character Leon S. Kennedy meets in Spain, or well, not somewhere in the countryside of Spain or whatever, while being attacked by these horde of monstrous people that look like something between the cross of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and John Carpenter's The Thing. Anyway, this guy makes a point, and anyway, Leon S. Kennedy has to rescue the president's daughter, the president of the United States' daughter that's somehow stuck over there. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with this game as a lot of the others, but basically the swarthy gentleman that he meets says, I see the president equipped his daughter with ballistics. It's a comment about her breasts, basically, okay?
That's fine.
And then she gets really angry and she's like, what did my body have to do with anything? How rude, and who are you, okay? In this reworked version, they cut out the ballistics comment, so she just turns and says, who are you, and all mean. And so instead of being someone who was offended by his suggestive comment and getting all angry and maybe for good reason, she instead just acts like basically a bitch, saying, who are you?
See,
you understand?
This is exactly the kind of problem I have with a lot of these kinds of editings, right? Where we want to take out all the things that offend us, but when you do that, you're left with this gaping hole that makes the person that reacts to it look like an ass because they're acting offended by nothing now, and this thing that you're offended by, that you should be offended by, we're going to pretend never happened, right? So we're never going to have a movie about slavery. We're never going to have a movie about, assault. And then people are going to think these things never happened and never do happen and go blissfully through their life being shocked when bad stuff happens to them.
Yeah. Speaking of these changes, a Facebook representative said these select changes were to update the game for a quote-unquote for a modern audience.
Yeah. So my feeling is, if you're going to update things, this is how a story will go from now on. There were people. Things happened. Problems were solved. The end. That's your story.
Not only that too, but it's like they're worried about all this. The weird, like the one suggestive comment. Of course, they're angry about something else in the game too, because during the game, Leon S. Kennedy is on the. He has like a handler that talks to him while he's out in the field, right? Okay, and
Sure.
one of his comments are, "Oh,
kind of like Nightwing having Oracle in his ear or something like that."
basically, yeah, except he gets to see her, right? And he makes a comment like, "Oh, you're not as old as I thought you were." Okay, he does mild flirtation with her in the field, right? And of course, she rebuffs him and stuff. That's been removed as well. Okay, this is just men and women doing some mild flirtation. I don't know why this is all of a sudden a problem in 2021. Okay,
Because the people that are writing this stuff can't get any themselves, so they want everybody else to feel miserable.
yeah, like there's a scene at the end of the game after you rescue the president's daughter and she's fleeing. You're I guess you're speeding away with her on a boat or on the jet ski or whatever, and she goes, "Would you like to come back from my place for some overtime?" And then he says, "Oh, I better not," or whatever. But they removed that comment too because I guess she was flirting. The president's daughter is flirting with the main character at that point. That's also been removed. Any hint of, I guess, inappropriate behavior. None of this makes any sense. Okay. Here's another one too. I love this one. If the player aims under Ashley's skirt, her dialogue asking Leon to stop was cut, yet the animation of her pulling her skirt down remains. Okay,
So in other words, women shouldn't tell a guy being inappropriate to
I think
stop.
it's a little joke. Like if you're playing as the character, right, and you can try and aim, and then she pulls her skirt down. What are you doing? It's
Well, look,
it's
what this
rebuking
comes
the-
down
it's
to
just
is
ridiculous.
you gamers need to just vote with your wallets and not buy this fucking game.
Okay.
know-
Well, this is a game from 2004. Okay.
If they get woke, you need to make them go broke.
Bet they removed her animation where she covers her legs while you climb a ladder underneath her. Probably. Yeah, they said they got rid of some. It's just ridiculous. It's
Of course, you know that the mods are going to go in and, add stuff,
Well, there have been all sorts of things. This game's been available since 2004. This is just the virtual reality version. So if you want to immerse yourself with a headset and look around like you're there.
But I'm guessing that
with
it's probably
2004
like
graphics, but I mean,
it's probably
it's a
like
good-looking game for the time, sure.
I'm
but-
guessing it's probably like PC games where people can do mods for these, and you can.
Can you do that with Oculus Rift though? Because isn't this its own
I don't
thing?
know.
I don't know how that works. I guess you do use it through a PC, maybe through Facebook. You got to sign into your Facebook.
If you
account.
know how to do the animations and stuff like that, you probably could. And you write a script for it, and you add it to it. It superimposes itself, and you got.
I'm a little disappointed that Capcom capitulated on this. They're a Japanese company, but I guess we'll see what
if
happens.
they lose
over
money
time.
on it, they'll get the message
And
real quick.
I'm wondering who commissioned this. Apparently it's an Oculus Rift exclusive, so I don't know if Facebook commissioned this or not. And if they did, why did they bother if they had so much? If they have problems with the content in the game, I don't. Anyway, I don't like Facebook.
I don't.
I don't like its company head either. Of course, apparently
I don't
few
want to
people do
support
these
them
days.
anymore.
Okay. Netflix to change how it measures a title's viewers post Squid Game, not
Yes.
Squidbillies or whatever.
Whatever. the Korean squid show, which does not sound very interesting, but I guess
I
a lot of
don't
people
know.
like
I'm
this show.
curious about it. Okay,
I'm
Netflix-
not.
Well, I don't have Netflix at the moment. I don't know if I'll be having it anytime soon either. But
So apparently, this Squidbillies did really, really well.
it's like the show being talked about right now. Okay, Netflix again touted the runaway success of Squid Game in its quarterly earnings report, while at the same time saying it will change the way public reveals viewing data. In the streamer's third quarterly letter to shareholders, Netflix says in the future it will report total hours viewed within a 28 days of release rather than the 2-minute view metric it's used in the past couple of years. We think engagement as measured by hours viewed is a slightly better indicator of the overall success of our titles and member satisfaction. The shareholder letter reads, it also matches how outside services measure TV viewing and gives proper credit to rewatching. Okay, well, this makes perfect sense. to
You
me,
know what
actually.
this is, don't you?
What?
This is a shot across the bow of every other streaming service out there. What they're basically saying is, we got a success. We know we got a success. We also know that eventually we have to do this anyway. Okay? Because you know that investors are going to start saying, how do we know what your metrics are if you don't publish them? You need to publish them. Just like, ratings had to be published before advertisers could invest. And then if there's enough watch time, if your ratings are high enough, you could charge more for advertising. Same thing here. Investors invest in Netflix because Netflix is getting the views, and here's the stats to prove it. And 2-minute views don't mean shit. It's how many people are actually watching the whole show. And they know that, and they know it's coming. So they're like, we're going to beat you all to the punch because we can. We're in a good position to do this.
Yeah. And South Korea media is a major beast. Check out Train to Busan. He's selling us. Okay,
Okay.
I'll look into it if it's on something I have access to. Let's.
But
see
I
who
think
the-
this is good stuff because now Disney can't pull their bullshit and say, "Oh, look,
Loki.
Mulan is doing so well, and Captain Man Pants is doing so good." Yeah, prove it. Show me the numbers. And they're gonna have to.
Show me the money.
Yes.
I mean,
that
basically, yeah.
that's actually literally true in this case.
All right, but we have a final story tonight. We did mention a celebrity death at the beginning of the stream, but we have another one that you were talking about, right?
Yeah. Do you have a?
I'm going to bring it up. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring it up. Do you have the link available? Okay, I got it. I'll post it in the link. From comicbook.com, Joanna Cameron, star of DC's The Secret of Isis, dies at 70. And, I should look and see. I think Isis might be available on HBO Max. Not that I'm shilling for them or anything.
I would not be surprised, but
Okay.
let me just do this. Let me.
Hold on, I'll post the link in there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and let me read a little bit from this. Joanna Cameron, star of DC's Secret of Isis, dies at age 70. Joanna Cameron, star of CBS's The Secrets of Isis, has passed away, according to a tweet from Isis co-star Joanna Pang Atkins. The classic DC star suffered a stroke last week and passed away October 22nd. She was 70. Cameron got her start on Norman Panama's How to Commit Marriage in 1969 and starred in a handful of projects before landing what would end up becoming her most notable role. At the same time, Linda Carter was starring in her Wonder Woman series.
Yep.
CBS was developing The Secrets of Isis, another series featuring characters from the DC Comics stable. Cameron played the show's lead character, Isis Andrea Thomas, and often appeared alongside Shazam, who went by the name Captain Marvel in the show.
Yep.
Sad to post that Joanna Cameron, the mighty Isis, has flown to heaven. Atkins tweeted Sunday morning. She suffered a stroke and passed away from complications this past Friday. We shared the wonderful, lasting experience of making The Secrets of Isis. May she rest in peace.
Yep. So if you want to share that picture, I just
Let me go ahead and post
to the
that.
stream.
Hold on. Let me get back in here. Yeah. And
man, she was like one of my first crushes, I mean, there was Linda Carter, it was Joanna Cameron, and it was Lindsay Wagner, I mean, it was, absolutely. So you were absolutely right. It was, what's her name? Whose tweet was it? It was, Joanna Pang Atkins. Who's the young lady on the lower left in that picture, is the one that posted about it and
Right.
On the Twitter tweets, and I responded in quotes, "O Zephyr winds which blow on high, lift her now so she can fly." Those were the words that she used whenever she'd fly in the show.
Oh, it's a pity. I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll
70 years
rewatch it.
old. That's not old these days.
That's not real that old, considering. I feel bad for her, but she'll remember by her work here. Wolfton says Leia would be saddened by that too. Leia Plus Size must have been a big fan of that show. But,
yeah, I've got the whole series on DVD. That and the Captain the Captain Marvel series too, because
the actual Captain Marvel.
They only crossed over for like 2 episodes, but.
Was there hints of romance, perhaps, between the two? Was that a... Not exactly.
Barely, just
Okay.
barely. In fact, I think you were supposed to say the guy here in the picture was supposed to be like sort of a love interest for her alter ego, but not really. I mean, they never. Keep in mind, this was more of a Sunday morning type of thing than a primetime kind of thing.
Okay, so it's for kids are watching this. Okay.
It was much more for kids.
They want to see her kicking the bad guy's butt, that sort of thing, right?
And they
helping out.
usually did it in not terribly violent ways,
Right.
One of her biggest things was controlling the winds. So she would call up the winds to, push against the car to keep them from getting away or knocking someone down or whatever. And, she controlled the elements, In fact, they do refer to her as a DC Comics character. Really, she started here with Filmation in connection with Captain Marvel, which of course was a DC property. And she then, made her way into DC Comics. Yeah. So now she's a regular, Captain Marvel, adjacent character, supporting cast or whatever.
Yeah. Cool.
In fact, I would not be terribly surprised if she doesn't make an appearance in that Black Adam movie they're working on.
It'd be interesting. Okay, and I do not see Secrets of ISIS on HBO Max. Get that figured out, guys. Okay, put that on there. Okay.
That DVD set is really hard to find too. I think last time I looked for it.
Maybe there's a licensing issue now. I don't know. As we say, many of our woes, it's not just the SJW stuff. A lot of it is licensing and other things that go on that we.
Let me see. Here, I found it. Let's see if I can view product details. Come on. Yeah, it's out of print, so it's going for a lot of money. It's going from $61 to over $100.
Okay.
110 used, 245 one of them's going for.
I will say this, at least, especially if that character were to show up in a like Black Adam or one of the Shazam movies, that would probably help get this and get a re-release. So there's always a silver cloud. Yeah.
But I do have it on DVD. I own it. So
yeah.
Oh man.
Jake said she's hot. Okay.
She is. She really is. And I mean, you should really she did a lot of other things besides the Secrets of ISIS. In fact, she was in one of those Spider-Man made-for-TV movies with Nicholas Hammond.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes,
cool.
She was. She also was in some films where you got to see more of her than you see in this costume.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Okay. But looked like a fun show, though. Did she, protect the innocent and punish the guilty?
That was pretty much the whole shtick. Okay. Yeah, exactly. But it was very much of the time, so her alter ego wasn't terribly inept at all either. She was an archaeologist. She wasn't like Lara Croft, but kind of a 1970s-ish Lara Croft kind of character.
Cool. All right.
I could totally see this being adapted to a film. They really should. Have to be better than Wonder Woman.
Sophia Patella as Isis. I could see that. I mean, yeah.
That would be good. That would actually be really, really good. I could totally see that.
Maybe we'll see it. You never know.
It can't happen anytime soon, though. I part of me is guessing that we're not going to see her on screen anytime soon because I could totally see the people start bitching about her not being, dark-skinned enough for a so-called Egyptian or something like that.
Can they?
This is another one of those superheroes too, where she kind of like Clark Kent Superman, where she just has some glasses on when she's not ISIS, and it's like, oh really? She takes off her headband, puts on some glasses, you can't even recognize her. Seriously?
I don't know. It's yeah, I know. Remember on Smallville when he would make his face blurry? Didn't he do that sometimes?
Well, yeah, that was the whole. That's why they called him the Blur. Every time he was out doing something, he would move around so fast you couldn't ever actually see him.
No. Whatever, it's actually, what they did on Superman the Animated Series? They would play around with that. They're very clever. There's a wonderful scene where Clark Kent is sitting at the and like sitting at his desk, and Lois Lane comes up and says, "You know what? I understand, Clark, how you're always beating me to these stories." And like you're saying, well, the truth is Lois, I'm secretly Superman, and I only fly around so I can beat you to the byline. He says something to that effect, and she says, "You're a sick man, Clark." Like he basically admits it in front of her, and she doesn't see it. You understand? Because he's being
right.
It's better if you see these.
Actually, it's funny you say that because as you say that, who I'm picturing saying it is George Reeve. That's actually a
It was-
line he did in one of the Adventures of Superman.
It's possibly that's where they took it from, yeah, because it was Tim Daly that did his voice on Superman the
Right,
animated series.
right.
Yeah, but
And no, but I've argued this many times. In a world where Keira Knightley and
Natalie Portman are both in films and play lookalikes in a movie, and on set one of their mothers couldn't tell which one was her daughter.
yep.
Okay, come on. Okay, you're friends with Clark. You have the hots for Superman, and not realize they're the same person. Entirely possible. Yes, they resemble each other. Although I suppose if you're going to do a film now, I could totally see Lois dating Clark and saying, "Can you take off your glasses and just, pretend, just for tonight?"
They played around with that in the one Donner movie where she in the Donner cut of Superman 2 where she figures it out. Remember? But yeah, there's the whole thing though is how Clark carries himself is completely different than how Superman carries himself.
yeah,
Think about if you had just seen these two people on the street, would you automatically recognize them as the same person? Maybe
Exactly
not.
not. No.
That's how good Christopher Reeve was
and
in that
that's-
role.
Yeah, especially from that one scene where he takes off his glasses and he starts to say, "Miss Lane, I got to tell you something. I'm really," and then he puts his glasses back on and he changes them. "I'm really excited about, it's brilliant. You see it. You literally see him going from being Superman to Clark Kent. And you could totally understand how someone could not, catch it. And I could totally see there. In fact, I was reading an old Superman comic not too long ago, and he was, bemoaning how is it that people don't know? Is my glasses really enough? And he's getting on a bus in Metropolis, and someone comes up behind him and says, "Excuse me, sir. Has anyone ever told you look just like," and he goes, "Here it goes. You look just like Clark Kent, that reporter from the newspaper." And he goes, I am Clark Kent." He goes, "Well, that's why you look like him."
Well, I think another thing too, if Clark Kent actually does some good hard hitting reporting, becomes famous, maybe people. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Back in the late 70s, they did, just like they are now. They're going through the whole. Are we still going to have newspapers? Eventually, maybe he needs to make the transition from being a newspaper reporter to a TV anchor, a news anchor.
Yeah.
And so, he and Lois were co-anchors on a news show, WGBS, right? And, so he would have been a television celebrity. You'd see him all the time, and you definitely would have, Clark is, yeah, look at this. Doesn't Clark Kent look like Superman? And then you pull up, any number of celebrities that look alike, right? Just like Natalie Portman looks like, Keira Knightley, and, this actor looks like that actor, and so on and so forth.
All right. Interesting. Did you ever see the episode of Lois and Clark where the guy from the future came back to the past?
And that annoys me because it was funny. It absolutely was. How colossally stupid is Lois Lane? Let me lay it out for you. And he takes the glasses and he goes, "I'm Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter." Takes them off. "I'm Superman. I'm a superhero." "Where did he go?" "I'm Clark Kent."
He was really obnoxious. Yeah, but he was from the.
I think I'm going to have to actually do a video about this because I've heard so many people shit all over that concept, and I think it's really time that somebody makes a decent case for it. But speaking of videos, I just dropped one on my channel before we went live. It's a little 30-second thing pitching something. Go check it out. Something that's going to be happening on my channel. Thank you, Mr. Matchstick, for your help.
Even if they knew who Soups was here were sorry, hold on. Ugh. If they knew who Soups were where are they going to find him? How would they always follow him? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Well, that's the old joke, right?
People mistaken me for being Mexican and Filipino.
Well, when there was that Super Friends joke where someone comes to Lex Luthor and says, I've discovered who Superman really is. He's Clark Kent. Yeah, so I've known that for years. Really? Why haven't you done anything about it? Well, what am I supposed to do? Well, we could, it's not like he's any less superpowered when he's got glasses on. Well, we could kidnap his family or something. Really? Really? You're going to kidnap Superman's family so he comes after you? Really? That's what you're going to do? I always liked that idea. I thought the idea that Lex Luthor had known that he was Clark Kent, that he'd know. That's why it bothered me at the end of Smallville, that he had to lose his memory of Clark being the Blur. It's like, why?
No.
Why?
His sister gave him the drug that made him wipe his memory out.
My whole point is, this is part of the reason you hate him. Because he, left you out of the loop and never told you, and he betrayed you, among all the other reasons that you hate Superman. And your knowing his secret identity doesn't change anything. Because like he said, he's not any less superpowered when he's Clark Kent.
Well, it's funny because I believe on Smallville, the Toy Man knew Superman's identity, but he just was going to keep it to himself. I think they revealed that, didn't they? So I don't know why they didn't do the same thing with Luthor. I don't know.
But again, it's really what is there to gain? There's that whole idea. Well, I'm going to kidnap Lois Lane. Really?
Can I say something else though about the Lois not knowing who he is? Maybe Lois sees who he is, sees behind just the facial thing, sees who he is. Right?
Well,
so
it's interesting you say that because
instead of it just being what he physically looks like, maybe she's seeing who is what the character is.
There is a strong implication from Superman Returns. Everyone grouses about the whole, date rape kiss that makes her forget. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's just she pretends that it works. And she pretends that she doesn't remember. But she knows full well. And she just... Because, Superman 2, she's like losing it. She's upset. I can't live with this. I'm always going to be jealous of everybody. Every time you go out as Superman and blah, 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 blah. She just denies it. She just denies it. Like, I don't know, like so many women that ignore things about their husbands because they just don't want to deal with it,
Yeah. I don't know.
But at the same time, I also kind of like the way that Smallville handled it, the way Lois and Clark handled it. This whole idea that she figures it out eventually, and she's good with it, and she even helps with it. And
you're talking about people that died?
Yeah.
Friends actor James Michael Taylor. He's the one who was always behind the bar in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
He just died.
Did you hear that?
Oh, the one who was in love with Rachel.
With Rachel, yeah.
On the show. Oh no.
Did they say cause?
Give me a sec. I'll look.
This is breaking news,
Prostate
people.
cancer.
Prostate cancer. So he knew.
Stage 4 prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck cancer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
cancer sucks.
Losing too many talented people, and we have not enough talented people in Hollywood anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Anya Taylor-Joy, I do like her. She's a good actress. But anyway, what am I thinking, though? I guess that wraps it up, though, for tonight.
It does. What do we got going on the rest of the week?
I will be on Daniel's stream on Wednesday with the Final Conflict rewatch with the great Sam Neill, as adult Damien, the Antichrist.
Yep.
And it peters out at the end. But anyway,
if Mr. Matchstick is still here, let us know if you got anything going on this week, because I can't remember. Friday, I'll have something going on. But more importantly, Saturday's rewatch, I will be hosting it, but I will be hosting it on Netter's channel, Netter's Network. We will be doing a rewatch of Poltergeist 3, and this is good. Just keep sharing what you're sharing. I'm going to take this down. I'll let you guys get a sneak peek at the thumbnail. No, keep sharing.
Oh, keep that up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep that up. Let me take down my notes. Try to spot the netter.
What?
Yep.
I'm
That's
making
a snapshot
this
of
big.
Netter in the
I'm
movie.
making this big. What?
Yep.
Well, you okay? This is the big. Well, I guess we got to keep an eye out for it, right? Okay,
Yep.
so yeah, it's just like Where's Waldo, but with the net, right? Okay.
Yeah. This isn't the best of the Poltergeist 3 movies, but it's the best to me because Netter's in it.
I gotcha. Okay.
You know,
And
so that's what we'll be watching on Saturday.
the creepy preacher in this one.
I'm
I'm gonna rewatch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Right, he's introduced in the second one, and there's resolution in the third.
This
one.
was a cursed movie series. Maybe I'll bring up in some tidbits about that. Maybe.
Yes,
Okay.
I was thinking that. Just like you wanted to believe all the things about Amityville Horror, this one really does have some coincidences that you could really build into.
There was some terrifying stuff happening around the production of The Omen. We talked about it on Daniel's stream, like people getting killed in weird ways. Okay, but let's see though, and then
couple deaths from the actors in Poltergeist 3 too.
Yeah,
not directly related to the film, but you know.
Now next Sunday, okay, we will be watching The Evil, because I don't want to do a Geeky Geezers on Halloween.
Yeah, no Geeky Geezers, but we will be. Well,
we'll do a good old days. I will have a good old days for you guys.
Oh yeah.
Talk about spooky toys we had growing up. Okay,
yeah,
and also we will be watching The Evil. Okay, it's a classic. It's an old late 70s ghost haunted house movie with Richard Crenna and a cast of people you sort of recognize. Okay. Anyway, and it's available to watch for free on Shout Factory TV. If you have the app on your device, you can watch it there. You can watch it directly from the website. I think if you watch it directly from the website on a computer, you only have to watch the commercials at the beginning, and then you go through the whole thing without any commercials. Whereas if you watch it on your app, you may have to. It'll get interrupted every so often with commercials, but for the most part, it's free. I believe there is also a YouTube copy somewhere on YouTube, which I don't know if it's legal or not, but like I said, you could watch it there too if maybe you're don't have any access to this, okay? But we'll provide links before the stream next week on that as well. If you'd like to join us, I know Halloween's a busy time, but I know some of us are locked away and can't do anything because of certain states, right? But
yeah,
state of affairs.
Darn sure.
So if you have nothing better to do, hang out with us. We'll be enjoying The Evil. You can watch along with us, okay?
Yeah.
The Evil. Doesn't this sound terrifying? Okay, on that note.
It sounds evil. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of evil over the past couple of years, so I'm not sure anything in a movie is going to scare me.
This is a good one for Halloween time. Wolf Temidi, he's doing a Vampire Hunter D stream on Tuesday on his channel. Check that out. Okay. That's a great... we were talking about the Hammer horror movies, right, on Matchstick stream. But the Vampire Hunter D, the guy that wrote the Vampire Hunter D novels in Japan, he basically wrote in the beginning, he says, I saw Horror of Dracula, and, it changed my life because I must have gotten that over in Japan. And Vampire Hunter D is interesting. It takes place in the far future, basically after vampires took over the world, okay? Like the vampires came back, and it's like very gothic, very hammer type area.
Sure.
But there's still remnants of old technology scattered about. So, like a farmer might have like a laser type gun to shoot at things instead of a shotgun. Do you understand?
Sure.
So it's kind of this mix. And the main character is a half human, half vampire named D. Okay. And I don't want to say anything more about it in case you ever decide to watch those movies or read the books. But it's a great series. It's a great Bloodlust is a great movie too. So and there's other stuff in these besides vampires.
Matchstick said he doesn't have anything this week, but I know that we've got Culture Fortress coming up in the future. He's got some game playthroughs. Just subscribe to his channel.
Cool.
Usually Tuesday nights.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
Y'all have a good night and have a good rest of your week.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Dan Peer, you're right.
Yeah.